Hello and welcome back to An Abundance of Naught. It is December 17th, Wade's Wednesday, Wade's Friday, the rest of our Wednesdays. On this...
Get it right.
Shut up.
Technically, he's right. It is my Wednesday, yet it's not my Friday.
Depending on which week you're deciding to go by.
And we are a mere week away from Christmas, everybody.
Woohoo!
Yeah, I got most of mine done last night. So thank you, Amazon. We always like to thank our Amazon for helping us out.
Absolutely.
And we ask you
They have
to
a
use
special
Amazon
place in our heart.
to help us out. So what's up, fellas?
Not much.
Nope.
Working as usual. You know how that goes. Well,
Yes.
maybe you don't.
No, I don't really. Weekend? Brad?
Weekend. We did our start again. We did our Christmas shopping this weekend.
Yeah, how'd that go?
So lots of shopping.
Yeah?
Shopping and shopping and shopping and shopping. We're all done though, thankfully. And it's all wrapped and under the tree and ready to go.
Very nice. Yeah, still got plenty of wrapping to do on this end.
Well, you should probably get to that.
Well, I don't have the stuff I've bought yet, so I can't.
Did you order it wrapped? You know Amazon does wrapping.
Yeah, for like $3 a item, though.
And, well, maybe you should have purchased a Prime subscription.
You know what? We talked about this earlier.
Girls,
I know where you're going with this. He wants us to get Prime so that he would have access to Prime, not unlike a certain Netflix arrangement and or HBO arrangement.
I have no idea what you're talking about. How are you doing? Wait.
Doing pretty...
Shift gears.
And switch.
I didn't even use the clutch on that one.
He just slammed it right in there.
Oh, God. Car jokes. Anywho. Kind of a crazy week for me. I mean, only worked 3 days, but still getting paid for 5. Woohoo.
That's an awesome week.
That's the
Yeah.
best, isn't it? I'm looking forward to that next week. I only have to work 2 days and get paid for 5.
Woohoo.
Thank you, holiday.
Work 5 days, get paid for 6.
It's not really the
I'll
same
take it.
thing.
No, only one. But still, I'll take a freebie.
Yeah, money's money.
Monday money. So, carry on.
Well, I got my gaming area / recording studio all set up to where I want it now, so we can start getting onto that.
Woo!
Yeah, it's... Ooh,
Yep.
it's-
Wade's got his dual monitors set up and mounted, and he's using my old sound foam for his mic, so he's got some usage there.
with a pop filter. Pop,
Yeah.
pop, pop, pop.
Hopefully that's coming through nice and clear for everybody.
Sounded good on my end.
Nice.
Fantastic.
Question about that though. How does the gaming rig go with dual monitors? You able to record both?
With the software that I'm using, Fraps, great software by the way, it will record anything that you have opened after.
So you open
Okay.
Fraps, and you open up something after that, and it will record that.
Correct.
So if you put Fraps on, say, your left monitor, and you open up Warcraft on your right monitor,
It should technically work, yes.
and then you can kind of
Cool.
monitor your Fraps stuff on the one monitor while playing on the other, right?
Exactly.
That's awesome.
the way to do it.
I like it.
Very cool.
Even-
What else?
Oh, well, do we want to get into what we did this weekend?
Do you have anything else you want to share prior to that, to getting into this weekend's activities?
Other than car work, no.
Yeah, so speaking of car work, we're working on brakes on one of the cars, only to find out we have a bad brake line, leaking brake
Eesh.
fluid all over the garage floor. So, that's happening.
Happy-go-lucky fun times for us.
Yes, indeed. It's like a never-ending
Cars are
battle.
great until they're not.
Right? Starting to be jealous of people that lease cars. That way they can give them back before they take crap.
Yeah, I
was-
know, right?
Was behind a McLaren the other day for most of the way home from the electronics store. That's
Nice.
a nice looking car.
I raced a couple motorcycles Monday night. They complimented the Subaru on it being pretty quick.
Well, you know what's faster? A McLaren.
and about 40 times more expensive too, but that's not important.
Well, I don't drive
But it's
steak,
still faster. He does
But it's
have
still
you.
faster. Yes. Argument still stands. So
Yes. The challenge was not on price; it was on speed. He wins.
this is true, but if we compare price per speed or speed per cost, then it becomes more of a debate.
Oh dear God, math interns go. Speed divided by the price of the... No.
Cost per horsepower equals too much. So yeah, we alluded on the weekend. Let's see if I can express this accurately. The company that Brad and I work for legitimately was holding a Christmas holiday event in Vegas, to which attendance was optional, but guests were welcomed. So Wade and I went along with my mother, our mother that works the same company also, and got a free night in Vegas and free shuttle bus there and back. Going there was great. Everyone got a healthy dose of our good friend Mr. Alcohol in its glorious forms. We had moonshine cherries. We had sake-infused gummy bears. There were Jello shots. Of course, some beer floating around and the good old tequila. We had a little bit of whiskey too. So there was a lot of options on the bus.
There was vodka going around as well.
There was
Some
vodka
Grey
going
Goose,
around.
yes.
Big old bottle of Grey Goose. That was pretty awesome. But yeah, I've found that should there be another event like this, I would be hesitant to go because the worst behaved people ended up being upper management. Not making necessarily the best decision when it comes to their alcohol consumption and that sort of stuff, which I found very disappointing. On a happier
So
note,
this is going to end up on YouTube, right?
well, I do have some things recorded on the GoPro. I'm hesitant to go public as I would technically be prosecuted under the revenge porn law of
Oh,
posting
jeez.
video without the consent of all those in it. So I have to be mindful of that.
Weren't you asked
Yeah.
like twice to have the stuff like
I
deleted?
was. Come Sunday morning, the cocktail party that was an open bar was Saturday night. Sunday morning, I was asked by our IT director to wipe the memory of my camera, to which I said no. And then one of our HR people asked me to be mindful of what I post and not embarrass anybody, to which my immediate response was, perhaps those people should have thought about that before putting themselves in that situation.
You don't want people hearing about the stupid stuff that you do. Maybe you shouldn't do stupid stuff.
That's it. So
Keep it simple, stupid.
I feel more and more like I made the right decision in not being there.
sure, and I don't discredit you for that. I myself had one beer in Vegas only because I didn't feel like getting up and going to the bar, but also because I didn't want to be one of these
That
people.
guy.
Exactly. It was kind of a big thing for me. I rub people the wrong way sober. I didn't want to
Oh, yeah.
compound that drunk. So I spent a lot of time at the craps table, of which I've only had very minimal experience to, but I enjoy the concept of the game, and ended up having a significantly profitable weekend.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Vegas.
I have also now learned how to play craps, basically.
Yep,
A
way to
basic
understand some of the
understanding.
basic understanding rules, the criteria.
You'll
It's a
have to
fu-
share that knowledge offline because I've been fascinated and I stand at the table and stare and completely confused by what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, we could have a whole podcast on the rules of craps, but the thing I enjoy the most about it, though, is that if you've got a table and you've got 8, 10 people plus at a table, which is not hard to do, what's fun about craps is that if you're rolling the dice or if someone's rolling the dice well, everybody at the table's doing well. Everyone's benefiting. So the energy is up. The energy is positive. The energy is fun. There's no competition, unlike pretty much every other game at Vegas.
Hmm.
So that's what I really, really enjoy about craps. But
Oh,
anyway,
cool.
It actually gets rather simple if you don't look at the terms and just look at the numbers. Numbers.
Yeah, there's two basic modes of craps, and your betting strategies should, be aware of that. But anyway, like I said, we could go on and on about that. We will spare our listeners this time, and I think we'll get right into some movies. That's news.
Movie news.
Movie news. No, just movies this time.
You
So
should just play the two sounds together.
don't
God.
tempt me. So we have coming out in the box and movies this weekend. We have Hobbit: Battle of Five Armies. This is a critic rating of 62% at a viewer rating of PG-13. The final movie in the Hobbit trilogy. It's no secret that this will be the epic conclusion to the 3-movie series. The cast-out Smaug rains his wrath down upon Lake Town. So there's a brief factor. Thorin, obsessed with the reclaimed treasure, sacrifices friendship and honor despite Bilbo's attempts to show Thorin reason. A greater danger is ahead for Middle-earth, and unseen by all but Gandalf, Sauron has sent forth legions of orcs in a stealth attack upon the Lonely Mountain. And as darkness falls, the races of dwarves, elves, men must decide, unite or be destroyed.
So, I feel a little mixed about this. I haven't seen it. I want to see it. I am a Hobbit / Lord of the Rings fan. However, this is kind of the same problem that they had when they did the last 3 Star Wars movies, which were really the first 3 Star Wars movies, is you've already seen the middle.
Yeah.
So you know how this ends, because this was the beginning. How can it be an epic ending? Granted, they could do some really great fight scenes and some special effects, and, we've still got the dragon in play. I can see it being a good movie, but we know how the movie ends because we saw it at the beginning of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, the mystery is gone.
Yes.
Now, I do have a coworker that did see a last night at midnight showing of it, and she did say that the last line of Hobbit was one of the earliest lines in Lord of the Rings. So there's no gap between the two movies. They
Sure.
they put them
They
right
flow.
up and actually overlapped them to a small degree. So that's nice from the 6-movie series stretch if you're looking at it as a whole. But yeah, when you've already seen the second half of this total story, and now you're going back and watching the first half, yeah, the climax factor, the conclusion, has already happened, and we've seen it, and we've gone through it, and we know what to expect. So I agree with you. The visuals could be great. The critics didn't love it. Again, 62%. It's better than average, but I think far from what it could have been.
What are the other 2 armies?
Well, you have orcs,
Orcs, elves, dwarves,
men,
Men.
Smog an army?
Hobbit. Maybe do they factor in the Hobbit? Hobbit doesn't really have an army though.
The Hobbit, they usually stay to the Shire.
Yeah, but Bilbo's in it, so I don't know if they're gonna kind of count that or what.
If Bilbo's one person
His
satisfies
one-man
an
army.
Smog must be like, what, 10,000 armies? What the hell?
Something like that. Yeah, I don't really know what the 5 armies consist of. I'm sure they'll just express that in the movie. So
Ghosts.
there's no
It's
question.
ghosts.
The ghosts. No, that happened already. Wait, that hasn't happened yet, but it happened. Paradoxes.
We've opened a wormhole somewhere.
Now all we need is time travel.
That's it. We're almost there. Also coming out this week, another movie to, I don't know if to cap off a trilogy or continue in the saga, but Night at the Museum, Secret of the Tomb. This is critic rated at 50%, viewer-minded rating of PG. Very basic synopsis here. I was a little disappointed on Rotten Tomatoes in this one. But Larry, played by Ben Stiller, spans the globe uniting favorite and new characters while embarking on an epic quest to save the magic before it's gone forever. Womp womp.
And actually, I don't mind that synopsis because it's not like,
here's everything that happens in the movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, discover it by watching it. Thank you.
Sure. Another movie coming out that they've been blasting heavy in the theaters is Annie. Critic rating at a mere 20%.
Ouch.
Yeah.
This is a remake after all.
Well, it's a Broadway gone movie, so.
Well, and it leaked, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, let's.
Broadway
again,
gone movie remade.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Again, viewer rating of PG. The synopsis for those who aren't familiar with the movie Annie is a young, happy foster kid left by her parents as a baby with the promise of their return. Had a hard knock life. Hee. Ever since with her mean foster mom, who's played by Cameron Diaz. Everything's about to change when she crosses paths with the mayoral candidate Stax, played by Fox, who takes her in. Stax believes that he is her guardian angel, but Annie's self-assured nature and bright outlook on life just might mean it's the other way around. If anyone didn't see that coming from the trailers, you're an idiot.
Or if you didn't see it by watching the first movie or seeing the Broadway, which started it,
you're an idiot.
Fun.
So about the
You
leak,
deserve to be sectioned.
Brad.
Yes.
About the leak.
Yes. So the studio on this one is Sony Motion Pictures. And yes, we'll get more into this in the news section, but
later at
this
11.
Tonight at 11, tune in for more of the Sony hack and the movie Annie being leaked.
So, but this was one of the movies that was stolen.
Got it. Okay.
And released on various torrent sites.
Fair enough. Another movie coming out is Mr. Turner. This has a critic rating of 97%. This is rated R. This is about an eccentric British painter, J.M.W. Turner, who lived from 1775 through 1851. He was deeply affected by the death of his father. He was loved by a housekeeper who he takes for granted and occasionally exploits sexually. Sounds awesome. But a little brief synopsis on his life. He traveled the world. Obviously, he painted. He stays with country aristocracy. He visits brothels. Man after my own heart.
Littlefinger? Is that you?
He's a popular anarchic member of the Royal Academy of Arts. I like the way that strings together.
Littlefinger? Is that you?
He was once strapped to the mast of a ship so that he could paint a snowstorm. And he was celebrated and reviled by the public and by royalty. Now, if the picture for this pans out, I believe it's played by the guy that was Wormtail in the Harry Potter movies.
Oh, okay.
He's also been in a few other things. I think he was in Sweeney Todd.
There was like a lot of
Johnny Depp as
makeup on that one, in the Harry Potter one, right?
Yeah, but if you know it's him, you have an idea.
Okay, well, I don't, so now I'm like only just envisioning this rat guy. So.
He's pretty ratty on his own. There wasn't that much makeup, but there was some. And finally coming out this week is a movie called Song of the Sea. It's 100% critic rating, rated PG. This is an animated movie that is the story about Ben and his little sister, Saoirse, I guess, Saoirse.
Wow.
Can I buy a consonant, please? That's really all that I have going on that one. Based on the critic rating, though, and the brief synopsis, I'm going to venture to say it is a fairly limited release. And to wrap up our movie section, the box office. So, top on the box office this week was Exodus, Gods and Kings, brought in $24.1 million. Its movie critic rating had been adjusted to 27%. I can't remember if that's up or down from last week, but I do know it was a change. Hunger Games, Mockingjay Part 1 at number 2 with $12.7 million. Its rating still at 66%. Penguins of Madagascar at $7.2 million. its rating is 73. And top 5, this was the Chris Rock movie, pulled in 6.9. I think its rating was higher. It's down to 90%, but still very, very good. So definitely some movies out there to see. I know that we have a Christmas tradition of seeing a movie on Christmas Eve, and I think that may end up being Night at the Museum. So won't have anything for. I might have something for you next week, as Christmas Eve will be Wednesday. Not sure if we'll have an episode on Wednesday or if it'll be earlier. Keep track of our Facebook page. We'll keep you posted. And with that, we'll jump into the news.
So we kind of buried the lead on this one. Our opening story is Sony. Again, with their security woes, which we covered a little bit last week, and then again we touched on in movies. This week, Sony sends out a demand and threat to all of the news media, and that would include us, that they do not consent to the media possessing stolen information, and does not consent to their possession, review, copying, dissemination, publication, uploading, downloading, or making any use of the stolen information. This is referring to their stolen emails and financial reports. And
well, we haven't used any of that, so that's good.
What's that?
We haven't used any of that specifically, so that's good.
Oh, you mean
Yeah,
I can't have that Maserati?
Yeah, so that is good. We don't have any of the information directly. We're just covering it from the news angle. But again, this is kind of closing the barn door after the horse has already bolted. I get that you don't want this information leaked, but you should have thought of that before you made it so easy to get hacked.
Yeah, I mean, and you want news organizations to not report the news. I mean, Sony getting hacked is news.
It's big news.
Yeah, it's not something trivial like so-and-so got engaged. It's a legitimate story, and now they're saying, we don't want you talking about it. Oops.
Isn't this kind of like redundant of how they do this? It's, we don't want you to talk about it. Well, people are going to then talk about it because they're going to talk about you not wanting to talk about it.
Let's talk about it,
exactly.
Exactly.
Don't say anything to anyone in the house. Don't say anyone outside the house. Let it go.
Yeah, it'll eventually blow over. Stop fueling the fire.
I'm not sure that this one is going to. I mean, like we covered last week, this is not the first time this has happened to Sony. And apparently they refuse to learn from their previous mistakes. And the amount of information that was exfiltrated this time, I don't remember the exact number, but I want to say it was definitely in the order of terabytes.
Oof.
It is an enormous amount of information that was taken. It's
Yeah,
like,
I heard employee social security numbers. I've heard pay information, plus emails that we've seen in the news about inappropriate comments being made in email from employee to employee that have come to light and forced people to make a public apology, which I have mixed feelings about. But
I'm going to see
a lot of content.
You're going to see some restructuring going on.
You know, whoever's in charge of their security, their IT department, they all need to go. Obviously, they don't know what they're doing.
They're probably not in charge of security and IT now.
What do you think the budget is for a company like Sony Pictures for IT? I mean, they got to be making, what, close to $1 billion a year? All the movies they do?
Sony's been struggling of late.
Okay.
Well, yeah, they've been being hacked.
Yeah, they struggled a lot in the last month.
Walk into that one, please.
We've had some fairly serious setbacks. Yeah, we know.
Yeah. We're going to have to take a write down on this one.
Yep.
I'm trying to find if there's anything on their earnings. Nothing comes up right away. But yeah, we actually covered this several months ago that Sony's been struggling. Things have not been going well globally. Now, U.S., The PS4 has been a fairly major hit in the US market.
Oh, I'm just talking about the Sony Pictures division because I'm sure they're not all under the same roof. I would imagine they're kind of operated independently of each other.
That's a good point.
But I could be wrong. I mean, maybe it's just, subdivisions, whatever, not standalone.
But yeah, whoever it is needs to be fired if they haven't been already, and they need new people.
Agreed. Well, I've got follow up to that, unless you have more on Sony.
Nope, go for it.
So, a lot of news, especially yesterday and today, regarding the movie The Interview. If you remember last week or 2 weeks ago, we talked about the hackers, or illusions that it could be North Korea as the hackers, as the movie The Interview is about assassinating the leader of North Korea.
Well, North Korea actually did kind of get in on this, like saying this was slander or propaganda against, Kim Jong-un.
Yeah, they came out and said that the accusation was false. They had nothing to do with it, but praised whoever did. Good job, guys.
Yeah. Well,
you expect them to
as a result, the hackers had made terroristic threats to any theater where The Interview would be playing, the movie The Interview. And as a result to that, 5 major cinema groups said that they will not be airing The Interview on Christmas Day as it was scheduled to release. And those theater groups are Regal Entertainment, AMC Cinemas, Cinemark, Cineplex, and Carmike Cinemas. I mean, these are some of the biggest entertainment cinema groups in the country, and now they're saying...
Does that leave any?
Does that leave any? But I don't know. Not much.
It was odd. I was actually listening to a music streaming site earlier today, and it was an advertisement for The Interview. It's like, guys, you're not going to be even airing that. Do you mind?
Yeah, so Sony getting wind of all this, with these major theaters not going to be airing the movie. Now, Regal came out and said that it's not that we won't air it at all. We're just not going to release it on Christmas Day as expected for fear of some of these attacks. Well, Sony decided that whether it was a result of what the movie was going up against or the fact that 5 of the major cinema groups would not air it at the designated times, that they would pull it from the release date. The Interview will not be releasing on Christmas Day. It will get pushed back, but that date has not been specified as of late. However, the FBI and Department of Homeland Security have acknowledged the terrorist threats. Those terrorists did reference September 11th as something to expect, I assume.
Oh, geez. Really, guys?
Pretty much.
It's just like, here's your biggest thing that you're still kind of feeling a wound about.
Yeah.
We're just going to rub some salt into it.
Pretty much. The FBI and Homeland Security both are downplaying the likelihood of this incident. Now, I have a question on that front. Are they downplaying it because the likelihood of every cinema that airs the movie will get hit? Or are they downplaying it because they don't want the public to freak out? That's my question.
That's a good question. I mean, when it comes down to it, the terrorists don't actually have to do anything, do they?
No, they really don't.
The whole definition is to cause terror, to make us afraid. I'm not going to say one way or the other whether it should have aired or whether pulling it was a good idea, but,
Mission
just scaring
accomplished,
us is enough to accomplish what they want.
Yep, that's the point, is they didn't want the movie to be shown. It's, at least for now, been pulled from being shown. So whether it eventually comes back out, as you would think it would to some degree, because it's a big investment to produce a movie, clearly.
Yep.
Some news sites were referencing a online or on-demand type deal where people could access it, from their home or whatever. But Sony did not make any statements alluding to that or confirming that once that started to spread. I would venture to say that's probably unlikely as well.
Okay.
Well, Hopefully, with TSA on the case, we'll be safe.
Yes, indeed. Well, Wade, what do you got for us?
Well, jumping the ship to more, well, good news. CBS did a about 8-minute editorial on esports, and it was actually pretty well in depth. I mean, they really went in stating that the numbers for esports dwarfed the numbers of viewing for the World Series. I mean, it was 27 million people watching a major esports event. I think it was the LOL League of Legends World Tournament. I think this figure was sponsored or was given to us by Riot, the game's developer. And we then cross-reference with the World Series only running in about 14 million people.
Yep, I did see that.
Doing that.
I think I saw a clip too to where the interviewer, who was the agent or the news or major media that was covering it?
CBS.
CBS. So the CBS representative, I believe, was talking to Blizzard's CEO.
Yes, there was a high-ranking
at one
CEO.
point. So
High-ranking person.
Definitely referencing that. It sounds a lot like there's finally some clarity to the esports with this, that it wasn't presented as, hey, look at all these gamers came together in this conference hall, isn't that cute? It was definitely some serious coverage of what goes on, interviewing some players, interviewing some game developer higher ups. It was treated as a serious piece.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, when esports is selling out stadiums as much as any pro athlete game, be NHL, World Series, whatever. Come on, we have some ground here now.
Yeah, I don't know about selling out stadiums because it's not that venue, obviously. It's
They
a
actually
comparison
did.
that you're saying. But people do pay to view, right? Isn't it or is it free to view some of these?
You can pay to actually. There has been events where they do stadiums, and you're like, "Yep, watch it in the stadium," and it has sold.
I know that up north from us, near Disneyland at the Anaheim Convention Center, they've had some events, gaming events within there. I don't know to what degree, what extent, but they do happen, and they do happen all over. So it's not like it's something people can't participate in. They do exist.
Anaheim MLG.
Yep.
I've been to one of the things. I want to go back. It was really fun. I mean, you paid to get in. You got food. You got drink free.
That's cool.
It was, chocolate covered pretzels, your choice of, white or dark or white or,
what kind of other sponsors were there, or were there any? Was it just other game stuff? Was it non-game related stuff?
Well, most of it was like, Steel Series, which is mouse computer equipment.
So computer components.
It's a lot of computer stuff. Dr. Pepper is apparently the major sponsor.
Okay, that's what I was looking for.
Of East MLG, so they were just as much Dr. Pepper as you could drink of just 3 different varieties just keep coming out.
Because that's the big thing with the sporting stuff, is that,
and I'm pretty sure
from a network broadcaster and also business standpoint, a lot of the money comes in advertising. So if you get a major entity to sponsor the event, and get multiple sponsors, whatever, that's really where the funding comes in and the ability to put these on. But
even still, I mean, these guys, the players, one of them even they showcased in the editorial was that he was sponsored by Red Bull, or is sponsored by Red Bull.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm pretty sure they, Red Bull was there, just, banner or whatever,
Yep.
Monster, if it's a rising thing, those guys are everywhere.
Yeah, Red Bull has a knack for making sure
both of
they're
them,
involved.
Red Bull and Monster.
Yep.
So, I mean,
they put logos on everything.
They do.
Including people.
And they're involved in stuff. They sponsor events, they sponsor people. Really kind of a cool company. And when you see, that that space jump that they did. It's like it's pretty bad when an energy drink has a better space program than most of the countries of the globe. But they got a knack for good business, and they got a knack for being in the right place at the right time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So esports on the rise and being taken seriously for once.
Yep. It's not just look, we have Twitch. I mean, you want to think how important that is? We want to go back a couple episodes and rehear how much Amazon bought Twitch for. It's $1 billion. Take a drink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think
There's
it's
some serious money tied up in this.
There is, and every once in a while, especially when I'm out on Monday nights when I'm shooting pool, we're there late enough that
You have a Red Bull.
that's happened.
No longer gives you wings, but have a Red Bull.
Yep. No, but
Yeah.
the football game's typically on or whatever, but when it gets so late in the night and the sports stuff is over, they usually do like the World Series of Poker, or they'll do maybe occasionally I've caught professional pool tournaments late on TV. We're not very far away from having that be an esport event that's aired at 12:30. It may be an old deal, whatever, but I don't think we're that far away from those events being televised.
Twitch.
But Twitch is an online deal. I'm talking about mainstream media.
But Twitch is the road layer for this, for the cars to travel into.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow, that was...
There's nothing stopping a broadcast outlet from taking a Twitch feed and broadcasting it.
Except for
with
legalities.
With the required delay of 6 seconds to bleep out any profanity.
That and proper approval from all parties. And now that Amazon owns Twitch, they'd have to get
Amazon,
that funding.
Twitch, and the provider of the content itself.
Yep. But
Okay. But assuming that the higher-ups, the Amazon level, agree to this, I mean, seriously, you tell me, Wade, if you got an email saying, hey, your next game of whatever game you're playing right now, Minecraft, CBS wants to broadcast this, yes or no? You tell me who's going to say no.
I would not say no. I would ask how much.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
There's a negotiation, but I'm just saying that I don't think it's going to be hard to get our types to play on TV.
No, the question is, would our types watch it if it was?
Apparently people are.
We're watching it on Twitch. If you put it on CBS or ESPN at 12:30 or ESPN2 at 12:30 in the morning, would it take traction? Anyway, we took that esports thing and we kind of went on a tangent. So
Hey, I'm happy about this, and it's awesome.
It's awesome. Hopefully it just keeps growing. It's snowballing.
Changing gears a little bit here, in Apple news, some good news for Apple at least. One of their many lawsuits has finally ended. This one didn't get quite as much publicity as some of the other ones, so you may not have been aware of it. However, there was a class action lawsuit filed against Apple that was focusing on how iPods protected music. And yes, this is a little bit of a DRM case, but I'll try not to go off on a tangent here.
Thank you.
So I know you guys are not diehard Apple fans, but you do have some Apple gear.
We have a fair amount.
Yep.
Do you remember either iPods or iPhones, if you took it, you had it synced with your iTunes library and you took it to another computer and plugged in, it came up and said, hey, are you sure you want to do this? Because I'm going to wipe your device.
Yes.
I heard of that, so I never plugged it into another computer.
But it only did
Yeah.
that if you were trying to access it through iTunes.
Right, so that was actually the focus of the lawsuit, is that essentially by putting your music purchased through iTunes or other means and imported into iTunes, once you got it into iTunes and synced to your iPod, the lawsuit was anti-competitive because it kind of locked you into iTunes. So it was focusing on iPods sold between 2006 2009. They were seeking anywhere from $350 million to $1 billion in damages for this.
Wow.
Now, some of the depositions, I mean, this case is old enough that a couple months before Steve Jobs' passing, they actually deposed him on his deathbed for this lawsuit.
Nice.
Now,
So,
what does this
Steve-
mean? What is that?
It
Deposed?
essentially served him that he was being sued. He informed him of this lawsuit while he was on his deathbed.
and took
Wow.
cameras and interviewed him for this lawsuit.
While
It-
essentially dying.
Almost as much as making him take the stand, laying down in his deathbed.
Yeah.
So,
Jerks.
voices from beyond the grave. Steve Jobs actually made an appearance through this taped deposition.
Yep.
And Apple comes out the victor on this one. They were acquitted on all charges, which, in my opinion, is how it should be. Because that lock-in was never Apple's idea.
Well, and the other thing is, if you choose to use iTunes, that's your choice.
But if
are
you wanted
ways-
your music on the iPod, that was the only way to get it there.
He can carry
Was it
around
really the only way, though? Because I know people that used
Yes.
to store files and whatnot on iPods and use them as just portable hard drives.
Not at first, and never legitimately.
Okay. And I also know people, it may look a lot like me if I stood in front of a mirror, who didn't open up the iTunes with a new iPod onto it, went into the actual file, offloaded the music that was on it to expand one's library without wiping the device's hard drive.
No, I understand, but there were periods of time where that wasn't possible. Towards the latter end of the iPod run, Apple had managed to renegotiate. At the very beginning, when this music came out, it was DRM encumbered. All the music was encrypted, so even if you had managed to copy it, you got nothing.
Got it.
They renegotiated after the music industry realized how powerful Apple had gotten. The music industry dropped their requirements for DRM with alternate stores. Walmart opened up a music store. There were several other MP3 music stores that weren't required to have DRM because the music industry was trying to balance the power back out. And Apple went to them and went, hey, if you're going to let them sell it without DRM, then we want that same thing.
Sure.
So that was the end of music DRM, and that was when you started being able to copy it back off.
Got it. Understood.
So, but this lawsuit was about that DRM period where, they were alleging that essentially Apple screwed them, and once you put music on, you couldn't take it off.
But it was
as was borne out in this case, Apple never wanted to do DRM in the first place. That was a requirement imposed on them from the music industry. If you're going to sell digital music, it has to be secured.
Got it.
So, obviously, I'm all about power to the people and everything, but in this case, Apple had done nothing wrong. They merely complied with the requirements placed on them that allowed them to sell the music in the first place. So, good decision on the judge's part on this one.
Woohoo! Something done
Justice
right for a change.
prevails.
Yes, indeed. Well, taking a trip down memory lane, Wade, have you ever heard of Paul Revere?
The Midnight Ride?
The Midnight Ride.
British?
As many know,
Wasn't he the guy with the matches or something?
something like that. Revere, best known for alerting colonial fighters to the approach of British forces before the Battle of Lexington and Concord in 1775, apparently put together a time capsule. Why is this significant? Well, it was unearthed during repairs at Massachusetts State House in Boston this past week. It was actually...
He forgot to tell anybody about it.
Yeah, he didn't say anything. It just kind of did it. The capsule has not yet been opened, at least not when the article was done. I believe this was written, I think, Thursday or Friday of last week. Believed to contain artifacts that included coins, papers, and metal plates made by the silversmith, then turned soldier. Apparently Revere was a silversmith. Who knew? They left that out of
I
the
did.
history books. What?
I think I knew that.
Yeah, you would.
You think you
Sounds
knew that?
familiar.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds familiar. I can't quite place it, but it's ringing bells.
I was surprised you even knew the name Paul Revere.
That's a show title. I think I knew that.
I like it. The biggest question with all these artifacts is what condition will they be in?
Yes.
Now, apparently the capsule was opened previously, back in 1855, where the contents were inventoried, but apparently the original container was either contained leather or was out of leather, and that had deteriorated. The current time capsule box is made out of copper. The capsule was placed in the cornerstone of the State House by Revere and fellow revolutionaries at the time. It was removed Thursday after work crews began repairing a water line in the building, a water leak, rather, in the building. The box will be x-rayed over the weekend and will be opened in subsequent days if determined to not cause further damage to its contents. The possibility of it being replaced and being added to with items from our era. So, pretty cool. That something may have lasted the test of time. Again, the concern is the quality of what's in there. Obviously, the concept of hermetically sealed or airlocked was beyond, that of 1775 and either 1855. But we have that ability to pressurize or air seal it to preserve whatever we do put in there, along with maintaining whatever is in there now. So that could be really cool.
What did they put in there?
What's that?
Is there any list of what was put in?
No, they haven't. Again, they haven't opened it and they haven't looked at it, at least not documented. They believe it just to be coins, papers, and metal plates of the era. But until we determine that it's safe to open without causing harm, they will do that, and hopefully a detailed list will be published.
Cool.
The inventory list, apparently from 1855 when it was opened, was not readily available. So
that's the information I was looking for. Okay.
There we go.
I was going to say, because you said they opened it.
Yep.
Really? Nobody thought to write down?
No, they did inventory it in 1855.
2 pair socks.
Moth holes, check.
Yep. 1 pair horsehair underwear.
Oh, God.
That's gotta
slightly
feel nice.
used.
Slightly used. You went there. You had to go there. Jeez. Wade.
Well, on to another company's befuddle. Steam, running their green light service, which is a system to where they said, well, we don't want to curate our library of games, so you guys tell us what games you want on Steam. This created quite a hassle when the game Hatred was on the green light system. This game, apparently, you are put into the boots of a unnamed character who apparently only goal is to spree murder due to his distaste of the society we now have. Steam.
So, Grand Theft Auto?
Well, this was basically murdering was the entire focus of the game.
So it wasn't just go do what you want, but your objective is to just kill people.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
Yeah. This was led to Steam taking the game off of the green light system. This then rose a collective voice stating that, well, you guys say you don't want to curate, but you're going to curate this. So where does your rules lie? If you're curating this because of violence, there are other games, Postal and Postal 2, just to name 2 out of the bat, which is glorified violence in its own. So after a day or two of public outcry, the game Hatred is back on Steam Greenlight system, and we'll see how that goes from here on out. I mean, it's got a lot of traction now. A lot of people know about it because of this scandal. Will it succeed just because of what happened?
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what happens. I mean, the audience has a valid point. If Steam says, "Hey, we don't want to pick and choose stuff. We want to give you guys the power," and then a game comes out they don't agree with, and they're saying, "You know what? No, but not that one." That's pretty straightforward violation of their own terms. So, they did put it back on per request. Hopefully they follow and don't make the same mistake again.
Gabe Newell did send an email to the game's developer, basically saying, hope you luck with the game. Basically, just like, we're sorry for doing this, but this isn't the first egregious offense that Steam, Valve, actually, have taken with the curation of the store. Earlier in the year, they did release the titles or tags, which was for clientele of the system to search better, find games that may be accustomed to it. Well, then they took certain tags out. What? One of them was like nanomachine, son. It was like, that actually probably could be used as a very good search item.
Yeah, maybe.
I want to play a game that has nanomachine themes. Well, if I type in nanomachine, it's going to bring up that tag perfectly. But the main issue is that Steam seems to have ambiguous rules to where they want to put them into effect.
It sounds like to me that maybe Steam grew too fast and that they don't necessarily have the corporate backing infrastructure set up to better manage some of that stuff. And so somebody's got the magic wand and they're waving it, and then, it's coming back to bite them, as opposed to maybe having a more established process method to go about it.
Well, it's the thing that they say, we're not going to curate this.
Yep.
But then remove a game, which is curating it.
Yep, I agree.
Either do or don't, but be clear about what you're doing and stick to it.
Exactly.
Or announce a change of policy.
Yeah.
Don't say we're not and then start. Let us know that you're going to start curating.
Yep, I agree. Set the proper expectation, then follow through on that expectation.
There you go.
The basis for everything is done. You're being set an expectation when you apply for a job and you get hired. You're expected to do that job. If you're not, well, they're going to find someone else who can.
Yep. Well, fair enough. Let's jump on one last topic here, and then we can wrap it up.
To wrap it up, we have another, starts off with a tech industry blunder that they quickly reversed course. Did either one of you hear about the hostage situation in Sydney, Australia this week?
Very, very briefly.
Yeah, I think I may have seen it on the news at work. Of course, this was silent TV from the bar, so...
Have them turn the closed captions on.
So I should be working.
Yeah,
true.
Fine. A disturbed psychotic man went into a Lindt chocolate cafe in Sydney and held up the place. Took quite a few people hostage. It ended up being resolved with 2 hostages dead and the gunman shot. But the tech angle on this is Uber, who is operating in Sydney. That's the taxi disruption
Group
company.
company. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
those guys with the pink mustaches on their car.
Mm-hmm.
Just to let you guys know.
Pink mustaches is Lyft, I think, but
Is it?
same
Okay.
concept.
It's similar. Yeah. Same
Yep.
concept. But
Okay, sorry.
No, you're along the right path. So Uber operates in Sydney, and in response to the hostage situation and recognizing that people will be trying to make an exit from the area, raised the prices of their fares.
nice.
At a certain point, users took to social media and expressed that at some points the fares reached up to $80 US or $100 Australian for a ride.
Wow.
Now, they took they weathered the blast and responded to it. Now, in their slight defense, I think they're still trying to figure out what they're doing. Their drivers are actually all independent contractors. So, what they were thinking, without thinking it all the way through, is if we raise the price of fares, that makes it more lucrative for drivers, which means there will be more drivers in the area looking to get those fares, which means there's more cars to get people out of the way.
Uh-huh.
Without thinking about, if we raise the fares, people can't afford to get those cars, even if they are there.
Sure. I mean, I guess I can understand the general concept.
Yeah. So, in response to the social outcry, Uber refunded the price of people who had already taken rides and made it free.
Yeah, I thought I saw
So
something
I'm not
about...
quite sure how they're going to compensate the drivers. Obviously, the drivers are still working. They deserve to be paid. So I'm not quite sure how they're going to work that out. But at least for people getting out of the area during this crisis, the rides on Uber were free.
It sounds like, I mean, like I said, the driver and the driver was just adhering to Uber's pricing. I don't think the driver sets their price.
Correct.
It's designated by Uber, so
It seems
it's
to be
not the driver's fault that Uber made it so expensive. And if the drivers did do deliveries, they should be entitled to whatever their rate is. I would imagine that with this fiasco, Uber is probably paying the driver the standard rate and refunding the patron the full amount because of the inconvenience, which means Uber is out the money, not the driver. The driver's just not getting the higher rate that was established by Uber at the time.
Well, that's exactly what Brad said. They raised the prices in that area to bring more drivers there.
Yeah.
To entice more drivers there.
But that didn't really work out. I did see that they were doing the free rides, or rather the refund, to make it free for people because of
Yep.
that chaos. So, yeah, they pulled a very serious oops, but they also were willing to correct it for people.
Absolutely. Which, obviously there's some fallout for this, and rightly so, but I'm more interested in a company that may make mistakes but is prepared to recognize them and fix them, rather than one that has its head buried in the sand
Sure.
and,
Totally agree.
is always right no matter what. It's like,
Yeah,
no,
even when they're
wake
wrong.
up.
Yeah, exactly. No, I totally get it. And like we said, Uber is a pretty recent company as a whole. And to quote your previous statement, they're still trying to figure things out.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it sounds like they're trying, and they're trying to do that, and they're trying to make it right. They're trying not to hurt their name, given the negative press that the taxi companies are trying to throw their way. And it sounds like they'll be around for a little while longer.
Yep.
I want to take a different look at this. It's actually more for the gunman. He was a gunman, right? He did have a gun.
Correct.
Now, I find it kind of odd that there was no big backlash, because if this happened in our states, I mean, there would be posts about, oh, American guns again. Oh, they should ban guns. But it's like, if it's Australia, it just blows over. And we're talking about...
The talk is the Uber thing, not the hostage.
It's,
Well...
it's so easy to get guns in U.S., well, apparently it's easy enough to get guns in Australia as well.
I'm sure there will be a look into that because it's not easy to get guns in Australia. They are mostly banned. I'm sure there will be a lot of review into how he got one, especially considering he was out on parole for
Okay.
not parole. I'm sorry. He was out on bail, being investigated for accessory to murder, I think.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
So he holds up a freaking chocolate cafe.
Yep.
I'm just stating the backwards thought in the mass world. If a gunman in U.S., it's, oh, well, America's stupid. They should ban guns just like the rest of the world. Well, apparently a guy on bail of murder or whatever it was still able to get a gun and still kill 2 people.
Yeah, I think Wade's just to briefly put an end to the topic is that if an event like that happened in the U.S., the concern would be the gun control. This situation happens in Australia, and we, along with other companies, are covering the Uber price situation and not the gun control or the fact that 2 people are now dead. Well, technically 3 if you consider the
Gunman himself.
hostage taker. You'd think that'd be the bigger story than Uber, yet we're talking about Uber.
Well, in a little bit of fairness, we are covering the tech angle of it. It is a real issue. I'm curious how he obtained it, considering the strict gun laws in Australia. But, to put it in perspective, this is a rare occurrence there versus a daily one here.
Yeah, I mean, that's something to be said.
So,
well, on that
our thoughts go out to the families of the affected.
Definitely.
Most
and
agreed.
On that kind of somber note, we are going to call it an evening. We hope everyone's having a good one. We wish everyone a Merry Christmas. If you don't hear from us, but we'd love to hear from you. So hit us up on Facebook, will ya? We'll talk to you there.
Keep on gaming. Merry
Sounds
Christmas or whatever holiday you celebrate. We don't judge.
Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
All the good
Whatever.
stuff.
Enjoy it.
And we'll talk to you soon.
Keep
That's
on
a wrap.
gaming.